He is known as the strongest man in Hollywood, a symbol of confidence, control, and unbreakable will. But when Dwayne Johnson was 15 years old, he stood frozen on the side of a busy road, watching his mother walk into traffic, believing he was about to lose her forever. Cars rushed past, time slowed, and in that moment, the future called The Rock felt powerless. How does a boy who witnesses that kind of pain grow into a man the world sees as invincible? What kind of strength is built when fear becomes part of your foundation? That day did not end his story. It began a war inside him that would shape everything he became. Stay until the end, because the strength you see today was forged in moments the world never saw. By the time Dwayne Johnson was a teenager, fear had already hardened into rage. He did not talk about what he saw. He did not ask for help. He did what many broken boys do when pain has nowhere to go. He acted out. Living in Hawaii, Dwayne fell in with a group of kids who stole from tourists. Wallets, jewelry, clothes, anything they could grab and resell. The thrill was not about money. It was about control. By his own admission, he was arrested multiple times before turning 17. Each time the police lights flashed a warning his life was drifting fast toward a dead end. But warnings only matter when someone believes they still have something to lose. Inside, Dwayne felt invisible, angry at the world, angry at instability, angry at a future that already felt stolen. He was big. He was strong, and he was using that strength in all the wrong ways. Then football entered his life, not as a dream, but as an escape. A place where aggression was rewarded, where pain had purpose, where effort could finally mean something. For the first time, someone told him he could be great at something. But just as he began to believe his life might be turning around, the universe delivered another brutal lesson. Because the very thing that saved him was about to break him even harder. Football became Dwayne Johnson's lifeline. It gave his anger a direction. It gave his pain a reason. For the first time, he was not running from his past. He was running toward something. His size, speed, and raw power carried him all the way to the University of Miami, one of the most elite football programs in the country. To the outside world, this looked like salvation, a full scholarship, a future in the NFL, a clean escape from the life he was leaving behind. But inside, Dwayne still felt the same fear, the same pressure to prove he was worth keeping. Then, in a single moment, everything collapsed. A violent hit, a torn shoulder, surgery, rehabilitation, and a realization no young athlete is ever ready to face. His body could not carry his dream anymore. While teammates moved forward, he fell behind. The depth chart dropped his name lower and lower. The future he had built his identity around quietly slipped away. Dwayne stopped going to class. He stopped showing up to meetings. He stopped caring. Years later, he would admit he did not know he was depressed. He only knew he felt empty, lost, ashamed. Football had saved him from the streets. Now it had abandoned him. And just when he thought things could not get worse, another door slammed shut. Because the professional career he believed would save everything ended before it ever truly began. And what waited for him next was the lowest point of his life. When football ended, Dwayne Johnson told himself it was not over yet. There was still one last shot. Canada, the Canadian Football League, gave him a contract with the Calgary Stampeders. It was not the NFL, but it was close enough to keep hope alive. He packed his bags, believing this was the bridge between failure and redemption. It was not. He barely played. He sat on the bench, watching other men live the future he thought belonged to him. And then quietly, without drama or ceremony, he was cut. No farewell, no second chance. Just a plane ticket home. When Dwayne returned to the United States, reality hit him harder than any tackle ever had. He emptied his pockets and counted what was left. $7. $7 to his name. No career, no degree, no plan. He moved back in with his parents, carrying a weight that crushed his pride. At an age when others were building their lives, he felt like he had already failed at his. This was not just disappointment. This was depression. He stayed in his room. He avoided people. He skipped responsibilities. Not because he was lazy, but because he did not see a future worth moving toward. Years later, he would say this was the moment he felt truly lost. Not angry, not rebellious, just empty. Most people would have stayed there. Some never leave that place. But $7 became a symbol. A line in the sand. Because when you have nothing left, you are finally free to choose who you want to become. And the choice Dwayne Johnson made next would change his life forever. With $7 and no future in sight, Dwayne Johnson had one option left. Follow the path he had spent his whole life running from: professional wrestling. His father had lived that life. The travel, the pain, the instability. Dwayne knew exactly how brutal it could be. But when you have already lost everything, fear stops having power. He entered the wrestling world with a famous name and enormous expectations, and almost immediately, he failed. Fans hated him. They booed him out of arenas. They called him fake, forced, unlikable. For many, that kind of rejection would have ended the story. For Dwayne, it felt familiar. He had been rejected before, by football, by opportunity, by stability itself. So instead of running, he adapted. He sharpened his voice. He leaned into arrogance. He turned criticism into character. That is when The Rock was born. Not as a hero, but as a man bold enough to own every flaw the crowd threw at him. The same anger that once dragged him toward trouble now electrified millions. Behind the scenes, the cost was brutal. Endless travel, constant injuries, surgeries to his knee, shoulder, and back. The body he built to look invincible was quietly breaking. But the world only saw the smile, the catchphrases, the championships. And just as wrestling made him a global name, another door opened. A door even more dangerous than the last. Hollywood. Hollywood did not open its doors gently. It tested him. At first, the roles were small. A few lines, a tough guy smile, a body doing most of the talking. Then the success came fast. Blockbusters, red carpets, paychecks that erased the memory of $7 forever. From the outside, Dwayne Johnson looked unstoppable, a man who had finally beaten the odds. But inside his home, something was quietly falling apart. The hours grew longer. The travel never stopped. Weeks turned into months away from family. His marriage to Dany Garcia began to strain under the weight of fame and distance. They still cared for each other. But love alone could not compete with a life that never slowed down. When they divorced in 2007, the world barely noticed. But for Dwayne, it was another collapse. This was his second battle with depression. He had everything he once dreamed of: money, status, power. And yet he felt hollow again. Later, he admitted there were days when getting out of bed felt harder than any match he had ever fought. The same fear returned, the same question: What happens if I lose everything again? The difference this time was maturity. Instead of running, he faced it. He rebuilt his life piece by piece. He leaned into work, not to escape, but to stabilize himself. He strengthened the partnership with his former wife, turning personal loss into one of the most powerful business alliances in Hollywood. The pain did not disappear, but it no longer controlled him. However, as his power in Hollywood grew, so did the pressure. And with that pressure came scrutiny, accusations, and public drama that would test his image like never before. Because the higher you climb, the louder the criticism becomes. And the next chapter would prove that even the strongest reputation can be shaken. By the time Dwayne Johnson reached the top of Hollywood, his image felt untouchable. The hardest worker, the most positive star, the man everyone trusted. But power always attracts noise. As his influence grew, lawsuits began to surface. He was named in a major legal dispute connected to the television series Ballers, accused of being part of an idea theft claim. The case was loud, public, and messy. In the end, it remained an accusation, not a verdict. But the damage to perception had already begun. Then came something even stranger. A former wrestler filed a massive lawsuit, naming dozens of people, including Dwayne Johnson, accusing them of an extreme and unbelievable conspiracy. The claims were widely described as bizarre. No evidence ever proved he was involved. Still, his name was in headlines. At the same time, critics began questioning his body. Rumors about performance-enhancing drugs spread online. He admitted that he experimented with steroids briefly as a teenager, decades earlier, but he strongly denied using anything illegal as an adult. Then Black Adam arrived. Marketed as a game-changer, it underperformed. Reports accused him of exaggerating success and pushing his own agenda inside the studio. For the first time, the world questioned the image. Was The Rock truly different, or just another powerful man protecting a brand? And as the criticism grew louder, Dwayne Johnson made a choice that surprised everyone. He stepped away from the superhero spotlight and toward something far more dangerous: the truth. After years of playing the same unstoppable hero, Dwayne Johnson felt something shift inside him. The applause was still there, the money was still there, but the challenge was gone. So he made a risky decision. He stepped away from loud explosions and easy victories and chose a role built on pain, addiction, and emotional collapse. A character who was not strong, not admired, not safe. For the first time in a long time, Dwayne allowed himself to be seen without armor. When the film premiered at major festivals, the reaction stunned people. Long standing ovations, praise for depth and vulnerability, whispers about awards. It felt like a turning point, a rebirth. Then the film reached theaters, and almost no one showed up. The opening numbers were the lowest of his career. Headlines turned quickly, from praise to doubt, from courage to criticism. Some called it a failure. Others said he had lost touch with his audience. Years earlier, this would have crushed him. It would have reopened every old wound, the fear of being rejected, the terror of starting over. But this time was different. He did not panic. He did not lash out. He did not hide behind excuses. Instead, he said something simple. You cannot control the outcome. You can only control the work. That response revealed something important. The man chasing approval was gone. In his place stood someone willing to fail publicly in order to grow privately. But while career disappointment is painful, the next chapter would not test his pride. it would test his heart. Because the greatest lesson of his life was not waiting on a film set. It was waiting for him at home. For most of his life, Dwayne Johnson believed survival meant movement. Keep going, keep working, never slow down. That belief cost him his first marriage. This time, he wanted something different. When Lauren Hashian entered his life, it was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet, steady, safe. Together, they built a family away from cameras. 2 daughters. Small moments. Ordinary mornings that felt extraordinary to a man who had missed so many before. Dwayne has spoken openly about how becoming a father again helped him understand balance, not as a slogan, but as a discipline. He began turning his phone face down, saying no to opportunities that would steal time he could not replace, choosing presence over pressure. This did not mean life became easy. The demands of business and fame did not disappear. They simply stopped being the priority. For the first time, Dwayne learned that strength is not only about pushing forward. Sometimes it is about staying when it is boring, staying when it is hard, staying when no one is watching. And just as he began to believe life was finally slowing into peace, the world delivered another reminder that no amount of success can protect you from loss. A loss that would reopen every wound he thought had healed. By the time the world saw Dwayne Johnson as complete, he had already learned the hardest truth of all. Strength does not protect you from pain. It only teaches you how to carry it. From a childhood marked by fear and instability, to anger that nearly destroyed his future, to dreams that collapsed without warning, to depression, divorce, public criticism, and failure played out under a global spotlight. His life never followed a straight line upward. What changed was not his body. It was his understanding. He learned that power without purpose is empty, that success without presence costs more than it gives, that the strongest men are not the ones who never break, but the ones who break and choose to rebuild anyway. Today, when Dwayne Johnson speaks about discipline, he is not talking about muscles or money. He is talking about showing up for his children, for his family, for himself. The boy who once felt powerless on the side of a road did not become strong by erasing that moment. He became strong by facing it, and that is why his story matters. Not because he is famous, not because he is rich, but because his life proves that even when everything falls apart, you are still allowed to choose who you become next. If this story moved you, stay with this channel. Watch it again when you feel lost. And remember this: real strength is not built in moments of victory. It is built in the quiet decision to stand up one more time when no one expects you to.